Difficulties are not obstacles to the path. They are the path. Many, many, many years ago, in the late 80s, I unsuccessfully tried my hand at telemarketing. And one of the few positive things from that experience was meeting telemarketer Mark. Mark was financially successful and vocationally successful as a telemarketer. And he was just as smooth as silk. He would say, "Hey, how are things going?" And he'd insert the name of the city the person was talking to. He was talking to. "You must read like," and he'd name the name of their sports franchise. And have that person immediately say, "They suck," without missing a beat. Mark would say, "You're exactly right. They do kind of suck." And they would have a conversation, and then they'd move on to the sales call. And whether he made the sale or not, his energy was amazing, and he was just a wonderful example. And one time I spoke to him, I said, "Mark, man, the way you handle yourself is just amazing. You are like Superman. And just like Superman allows bullets to bounce off his chest, you seem to let negativity bounce off your chest. What's the secret?" And he said, "The secret is to let them pass through." Mind blown. Now, of course, that reminds me of Dune. Yes, I love Star Wars, but when it comes to sci-fi, I am pan-geekual. And so I was deeply affected back in the 80s, early 80s, by the Bene Gesserit Litany Against Fear. I'd like to share with you my paraphrase of it. "I must not fear. Fear is the little death that brings total obliteration. I will face my fear. Here it comes. I will allow it to pass through me and over me and around me. I will turn to see my fear is gone, and only I remain." Well, that's Jim Dandy. But returning to the universe that George built, the Jedi do not rely upon recitation. They do not rely upon litany. They do not rely upon affirmation. They rely upon meditation. So how could we use meditation as a tool to deal with adversity? We begin with mindfulness. Now, our job is not to lie to ourselves about what's going on. Our job is not to argue with our perceptions. Our job is not to say, "Well, this is an irrational fear, and here's my 47-point outline to explain why." No, that's Freudian psychology, and it doesn't work. In Freudian psychology or psychiatry, they determine whether or not an emotion is rational. No, that's stupid. No, emotions aren't rational. They are not a function of the prefrontal cortex. They're a function of a much older part of the brain. And to expect emotions to be rational is it's like the story you've probably heard that Einstein used to say, and I'm going to paraphrase it brutally. A fish, the fastest, strongest swimmer in the world, this fish, if he compares himself to a squirrel, will always think himself a failure for his inability to climb a tree. Just as it is folly to compare fishes with squirrels, it is equal folly to compare emotion with logic. They're two different things. So rather than asking ourselves whether what we feel is rational or not, let's take a different strategy. We'll begin with neuroscience. Every time we inhale, whether we know it or not, we access the sympathetic nervous system ensconced within the thoracic region of our spinal cord. It has evolved not for active concentration, but instead to simply perceive, and to do so vulnerably, passively, viscerally, and randomly. We could perceive perceptions. We could perceive appearances, sounds, sensations, flavors, scents, and the like. But in addition to perception, we're also capable of emotion, intention, cognition, recollection, and imagination. We could notice the external, the internal, the physical, the mental, the pleasurable, the painful, the interesting, the boring, the glorious, or the grotesque. So let's make it simple. Let's bring it down to fear or frustration. Anakin. So, what do we do when we feel a very turbulent emotion? The first thing we do is we refrain from being overly precise. Instead of saying, not only am I feeling an emotion, but I'm feeling rage. Bring me a youngling and lightsaber, for I feel rage. No, we don't want to do that. But instead we want to generalize and say, I'm feeling an emotion. It doesn't matter whether that emotion is strong or weak or pleasurable or painful. It's an emotion. And by labeling all emotions with the same label, we get to blend mindfulness with non-duality, not the fanciful non-duality of fundamentalists who insist on confusing dog shit with chocolate. And by the way, gotta warn you, if you can't keep those two straight, you're gonna have some very bad breath. So all fanciful malarkey aside, we practice trenchant, practical non-duality by saying a scent is a scent, an emotion is an emotion, a sight is a sight, a memory is a memory, a fantasy is a fantasy. And yes, we know that we can jump down the rabbit hole of distinctions. We can jump down the rabbit hole of saying, but some are pleasurable, some are painful, some are interesting, some are boring, some are external, some are internal, some are rational, some are irrational. But that duality is a trap. And 9 times out of 10, it does not serve us. Now, sometimes we want to be able to know the difference between healthy tissue and a tumor, especially if you are a surgeon. But 9 times out of 10, non-duality can be accessed to our very great benefit through the cunning use of deliberately vague labels. But having said that, having noticed the 3-ring shit show that is somersaulting through our lives, what do we do with that observation? We meditate. But how does that work? Every time we exhale, whether we know it or not, we access the parasympathetic nervous system ensconced within both the lower lumbar region of the self-same spinal cord, as well as the tippy top of the cervical region. It's wired for both physical relaxation as well as mental release. And here's the cool thing. Mindfulness and meditation are on autopilot. As long as we are alive, we can breathe in and breathe out. We can notice, we can release. All we have to do with the 3-pound supercomputer between our ears is simply align our intention with the metaphoric wiring of our factory installed programming. But wait, there's more. As a fantastic fringe benefit to mindfulness and meditation, we experience the highest love. Now, I say the highest love, I don't mean like in the Cheech and Chong sense of the word. Hello, Austin, ATE, I'm not sure what that is. Anyway, so the highest love is spontaneous and uncontrived. We access this centered spontaneity as an automatic fringe benefit of regularly and effectively practicing mindfulness and meditation. Especially, if you practice it for as little as 5 minutes a session, once every 12 hours or so, you'll be styling. And you'll notice that your choices and utterances and deeds flow from this place of centered spontaneity. And that's the secret to dealing with the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune. We notice the crap headed our way as we breathe in. We process it as we breathe out. And then Our choices, utterances, and deeds dance to the invisible melody of centered spontaneity, he said metaphorically. I look forward to chanting and meditating with you after approximately 30 seconds of housekeeping. This is Lama Jigme Gyatso of the Buddha Joy Meditation School. For more than 30 years, I spent more than 8 hours a day, every day, studying, practicing, mastering, and reverse engineering the teachings and techniques of each school of Buddhism so that you would not have to. Welcome to Meditate Like a Jedi, which is made possible due to the generosity of viewers just like you, especially our pal Brock. And now, let us turn our attention to the Te Sar Ngondro, composed in the 1800s by Dojum Lingpa, this fellow on the far left. In the 80s, it was translated under the supervision of Chagdud Tulku, and now I have adapted and amplified it that you might find it easier to apply to your life. And by easier, I mean more effectively. Yeah, excuse me. So our first chant is going to help bring our energy to our crown. We're going to place our hands in the puckered palm position overhead. O Majo Lama, please come to this crown, O infallible, constant protector who knows all Dharma things. And Lama here does not have to be literal. It can be figurative. It can be an anthropomorphic, I have trouble with this word, an anthropomorphic, anthropomorphization, is that the word? Of simply the teachings themselves. Simply the teachings themselves. O Majo Lama, please come to this crown. O infallible, constant protector who knows all Dharma things. O Majo Lama, please come to this crown. O infallible, constant protector who knows all Dharma things. And now, together as a team, let us meditate as transformatively as General Leia Organa upon Octo under the guidance, upon Ajahn Kloss under the guidance of Luke Skywalker. As children, our first bicycle most likely had training wheels that, although they were clunky, they did keep us from tipping over. Similarly, this evening's first meditation is going to be delightfully clunky. As we breathe in, we could silently and mentally recite perceiving this very turbulent play of mind. And as we exhale, we could silently and mentally recite relaxing into mind's non-graspable nature. And here's the cool thing. This is not an affirmation. Due to the facets of neuroscience, which we discussed during the opening lesson, this is all factual. So it's therefore not a belief-oriented affirmation. It's simply a statement, a way of labeling the processes already in motion in this present moment. Come, let us practice together. You'll notice the heading here is white, like a cumulus cloud overhead. Over here, it's blue, like the horizon on a beautiful day, where we see the ocean kiss the sky. We therefore place our hands in the puckered palm position in front of our sternum. We're going to play with a triplet, which is a collection of 3 lines, to help us exercise the joyful enthusiasm that is the 6th fold of the Buddha's 8-fold path. It is extremely difficult to find such freedom and opportunities as we have. It is extremely difficult to find such freedom and opportunities as we have. It is extremely difficult to find such freedom and opportunities as we have. And again, we're going to rest in the nature of mind after we remove the first of 2 metaphoric training wheels, reducing the number of syllables in our exercise from 12 down to just 3. During each inhalation, we could silently and mentally recite "notice this," and during each exhalation, we could silently and mentally recite "relaxing." Now remember, if at any point at all during the remainder of this live stream, you have a specific question about Buddhist recitation, Buddhist meditation, Buddhist philosophy, or their application, simply type your question in great detail in the chat window. Being impermanent, everyone who was born will die. Being impermanent, everyone who was born will die. Being impermanent, everyone who was born will die. Impermanence is the key to letting go, an integral part of the wisdom of letting go, the first fold of the Buddha's 8-fold path. And now let us remove the second of 2 metaphoric training wheels, reducing our meditation from 3-syllable exercises down to just 1-syllable exercise. As we breathe in, we could silently and mentally recite "notice this." Let me try that again. As we breathe in, we can silently and mentally recite the demonstrative pronoun "this." And as we exhale, we can silently and mentally recite the monosyllabic verb "ease," which functions as a synonym of "relax." I'm going to take a moment to insult your intellect. Transforming 10 3-syllable labels into 10 1-syllable labels can require a modicum of poetic license. So perhaps it could come as little surprise that we got to get creative. And so when we experience a physical sensation, we could use the noun form as a label. When we experience its emotional counterpart, We could use the verb feel as a label. When we experience a memory, we could use the preposition then as a label. And when we experience a fantasy, pleasurable or painful, we could use the verb dream as a label. Now, please hear this carefully. It's not our job to exhaust ourselves, straining to find the perfect label in the quickest amount of time. No. It's okay to be sloppy. Life is messy. We're born naked, screaming, and covered in goo. Meditation is messy. Please, oh please, give yourself permission to have, at times, a shallow learning curve. Rock, at your leisure, would you please translate your greeting to me? The second fold of the Eightfold Path is wishing love, as opposed to acting love. And it is predicated on the assumption that our choices affect our actions, and our actions can affect others. We can cause them pain, or we can cause them comfort. And we reinforce the idea that we can choose things and do things and say things that are useful to others with the following couplet. The results of our virtuous and harmful actions are inevitable. The results of our virtuous and harmful actions are inevitable. The results of our virtuous and harmful actions are inevitable. Love it. Love it. If I was truly awesome, I'd be able to knock out a Pee Wee Herman imitation for you, but I can't. Thank you, senor. Grazie. I don't know about you, but I was raised to think the key to empowerment was a positive mental attitude. And then I was also told to lie to myself and use special ways of reframing my experience to control my reality. What malarkey! That stuff did more harm than good. There is power in vulnerability. Lately, when my neighbors stop me and ask me, when I'm going for a walk and they ask me, how's it going? I've chosen to be vulnerable and say, dude, I am plotting over over the behavior of my metaphoric cousins in Israel right now, and just share this, the stress I'm experiencing, or the stress I'm experiencing over some of the politics in America right now. And it might not make me little Susie Sunshine, but it makes me more authentic. And one of the many benefits of authenticity is that being vulnerable to our stress, due to the nature of our mirror neurons, makes us vulnerable to other people's stress too, which is the groundwork of empathy. The key to the second fold of the Buddha's Eightfold Path. The three realms we experience as samsara cycle are like a notion of suffering. The three realms we experience as samsara cycle are like a notion of suffering. The three realms we experience as samsara cycle are like a notion of suffering. So there's many interpretations of three realms. It could mean, the physical, the mental, the verbal. It can mean the desire, the form, and the formless. It can mean the coarse, the subtle, and the very subtle. In this context, it don't matter. It's just being used to say whatever experience we find ourselves in, it's okay to be vulnerable. And now let us practice the Ati Yoga Tantra of mindfulness and meditation, the seventh and eighth folds of the Buddha's Eightfold Path. The 14th Dalai Lama of Tibet's late tutor, Dilgo Khyentse, insisted that Tantra is based on sutra with which it must never contradict. Therefore, one of the things I do as a, what's the word I want to say? Not renegade Lama, but I guess as a renegade Lama, is I always try to correlate these teachings with the Buddha's Eightfold Path so you can see how it all ties together. A few moments ago, we spoke about the need to be vulnerable and how vulnerability is a key to empathy. Well, the opposite is also true, and the more we try not to be vulnerable, the less empathetic we are. One time I had a first and last date with someone who basically inferred that unless they saw someone getting stomped under the heel of an IDF boot, they would not believe that any Palestinian was ever maltreated. Oh my goodness. I've seen video evidence of that happening. I've seen video evidence of the IDF soldiers brutalizing other Jews who had the audacity to hold placards that said, "Stop exploiting and the Palestinians." I've seen people say that unless I'm in a rocket ship and I look down on Earth and see that it's surrounded with my own eyes, I won't believe it. But that's the same person would say, how do I know that the rocket ship took off? How do I know that I wasn't just in a chair and you were shaking it? There are some people who are determined to hide themselves from truths that they find to be inconvenient. That, my friends, is the opposite of intellectual integrity. One time I was in a relationship, it was like the first month of the relationship, and we were going shopping, and she was considering buying fish, and we clearly I hadn't introduced her to veganism yet. And I said to her, well, you don't want to buy fish from a fish farm because they're raised in their own sewage. And without a trace of irony and with the utmost sincerity, she said, oh, the government would not permit that. Yes, it would. In the words of Samuel Clemens, America has the best government money can buy. Again, let us dig our ladle deep within the barrel of enthusiasm. Remembering this made my mind turn to a dharma. Remembering this made my mind turn to a dharma. Remembering this made my mind turn to a dharma. So what I'd like to do right now is perform maybe 4 geriatric step back squat thrusts while reciting this quatrain. If you wish to join me, you are welcome, but it is by no means compulsory. This is not the Third Reich school of meditation. Now until I reach the very heart of enlightenment, I take refuge in the Lama, who embodies the 3 jewels. From now until I reach the very heart of enlightenment, I take refuge in the Lama, who embodies the 3 jewels. From now until I reach the very heart of enlightenment, I take refuge in the Lama, who embodies the 3 jewels. From now until I reach the very heart of enlightenment, I take refuge in the Lama, who embodies the 3 jewels. And by the way, I found that a chambered grip really helps with the posture. Oh! And again, let's rest the mind. Again, let us train in the conventional bodhicitta's second fold of the Eightfold Path. From now until samsara is emptied, may I bring about benefit and happiness for all beings as if they have each been my kind mothers. From now until samsara is emptied, may I bring about benefit and happiness for all beings as if they have each been my kind mothers. From now until samsara is emptied, may I bring about benefit and happiness for all beings as if they have each been my kind mothers. Now it's time for Tantra's Mandala offering, which is a training in generosities, kindness of communication, conduct, and commerce, the third, fourth, and fifth folds of the Buddha's Eightfold Path. To perfect the two accumulations, I offer the body's wealth and splendor of all my lives with the three jewels. To perfect the two accumulations, I offer the body's wealth and splendor of all my lives to the three jewels. To perfect the two accumulations, I offer the body's wealth and splendor of all my lives to the three jewels. Notice they have a white lettering reminding us of a fluffy cumulus cloud. Once again, we put our hands into the puckered palm position overhead. Please join me in chanting. Dorje Sampa, inseparable from my Lama, is above the crown of my head. Nectar flows from him, purifying my obscurations. Vajrat Sattva. Dorje Sampa, inseparable from my Lama, is above the crown of my head. Nectar flows from me, purifying my obscurations. Vajrat Sattva. Dorje Sempa, inseparable from my Lama, is above the crown of my head. Nectar flows from him, purifying my obscurations. Vajrasattva. We've returned to blue lettering, which reminds us of the nautical horizons. Let's please place our hands in the puckered palm position in front of our sternum. Dissolving into light, I'm in mind, Mother and Father, blend with me an experience of heart's oneness. Dissolving into light, I'm in Mother and Father. I'm in mind, Mother and Father, dissolve into... Wow, let's try this again. Dissolving into light, I'm in mind, Mother and Father, blend with me an experience of heart's oneness. Dissolving into light, I'm in mind, Mother and Father, blend with me an experience of heart's oneness. We come now. So tonight we're going to play with 8 sets of mantra meditation. The first 4 the common denominator of the first 4 are going to be the practice of love and letting go. So let us begin by bringing the experience of the mental into the path of love and letting go. We're going to begin by chanting a loving wish, the second fold of the Eightfold Path. May all minds of all beings now be as wise and peaceful as the mind of a Buddha, of law symbolized by a bija venerable seed mantra whom morty claim drop. We're now going to take the same wish and recite it in a manner that is silent and mental and concise. And yes, we're using simile because we've evolved to think figuratively, symbolically. So, for my fellow sci-fi geeks, all of us drooled the first time we saw Obi-Wan Kenobi tell the stormtroopers these are not the droids you were looking for. Oh, good grief. Who of us has not dreamt of doing that to a cop? You wish to dance and sing I'm a little teapot short and stout. I mean, who of us hasn't wished to go up to a political leader and get them to vote the way we want them to vote? Oh my goodness, that would be amazing. But that would not be love. That would be mental rape, wouldn't it? And so we do not wish to indulge our tendencies to be rigid and controlling. And yet we see gross injustice in the world around us. And so we wish for universal wisdom, not cleverness, not venal cleverness, which is arguably the union of our prefrontal cortex and our amygdala, but wisdom. Same prefrontal cortex, but this time in league with our anterior cingulate gyrus. A love-oriented wisdom for all beings everywhere, especially with those who have the power to do great good. And so we take that wish, recite it during our inhalation. During exhalation, we physically relax as best we can while chanting this 6-syllable mantra. Om Vajra Sarva Hum Om Vajra Sarva Hum Om Vajra Sarva Hum Om Vajra Sarva Hum. So when we think of, perhaps politicians who put profit before people, or profit before environment, or fear before compassion, we see people promoting genocide and apartheid and overall exploitation. We see people promoting and empowering sexism and racism and classism and speciesism. We can just send them waves of wisdom. And yes, I know this could sound like magical thinking, but I'm reminded of Charles Dickens' A Christmas Carol. How you took the most hard-hearted of people who was happy to let the poor die. And after a visit from 4 ghosts, he was a new man. To me, that holds promise, that humans can evolve to do the right thing. Om Vajra Sarva Hum Om Vajra Sarva Hum Om Vajra Sarva Hum Om Vajra Sarva Hum. Now remember, our power is not in concentration. It's not in the ferocity of our wish, but in our perception and our release. Om Vajra Sarva Hum Om Vajra Sarva Hum Om Vajra Sarva Hum Om Vajra Sarva Hum. Om Vajra Sarva Hum Om Vajra Sarva Hum Om Vajra Sarva Hum Om Vajra Sarva Hum. Let's take a break from all this chanting and rest the mind. If you've just joined this evening's live stream, welcome aboard, matey. The moment you have a specific question about Buddhist meditation, Buddhist philosophy, Buddhist chanting, or their application, simply type your question in great detail in the chat window. During each inhalation, it can be beneficial to silently and mentally recite the demonstrative pronoun this. During each exhalation, it can be beneficial to silently and mentally recite the monosyllabic verb ease, which functions as a synonym of relax. Let us bring our experience of the interpersonal into the path of love and letting go. May all relationships of all beings know be as loving and joyful as a real or imagined Buddhist communication symbolized by the six-syllable mantra. Om Vajra Sarva 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 Let us bring our experience of the physical into the path of love and letting go. May all bodies of all beings know enjoy the beautiful, health depicted in Buddhist art of the blissful body of a yidam of lore and octave of enlightenment. Hey, Raphael, how you doing? Let me know what you need right now, how I can be of service. Om Vajra Sarva 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 Hum 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 Let us bring the circumstantial into the path of love and letting go. May all circumstances or lots of all beings now have their safety, good fortune, or boon, as a Buddha's real or imagined paradise, pure land of Wanti. Om Vajra Sarva Hum 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 So please take a moment to consider the art on the screen. This woman composed of red light is known as Dorje Naljor. And this individual overhead is known as the Lama or the Guru, whether it be literal or archetypical. So we're going to begin with a rhetorical question. Puckered palms overhead, if you please. How am I like Dorje Naljor in the sky in front of me? My rude Lama could appear in the form of Padmakara. How am I like Dorje Naljor in the sky in front of me? My Lama could appear in the form of Padmakara. How am I like Dorje Naljor in the sky in front of me? My rude Lama could appear in the form of Padmakara. Embodiment of all Buddhas of the three transplants excellent Root Lama, I pray to you. Embodiment of all Buddhas of the three transplants excellent Root Lama, I pray to you. Embodiment of all Buddhas of the three transplants excellent Root Lama, I pray to you. Hold me with your compassion in this and future lives, and in the Bardo bless me always throughout the three times. Hold me with your compassion in this and future lives, and in the Bardo bless me always throughout the three times. Hold me with your compassion in this and future lives, and in the Bardo bless me always throughout the three times. Record palms before the sternum, if you please. As we relax into our exhalation, whatever we notice during our previous inhalation could feel is not graspable as a vast empty void. Like the illusion of the infinite azure sky on a bright and beautiful cloudless morn, which although compelling to the eye is not graspable to the hand. Let us bring the circumstantial into the path of awareness and letting go. So let's chant this together. How is it that as we inhale all common circumstances or loss could appear quite vivid, yet as we relax into our exhalation they could feel as not graspable as a real or imagined paradise or vati of light? How is our circumstance like the archetypical paradise of Dorje Naljor? It is appearing yet void. Hum vararo guru manmazeri 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 Hum varara guru manmaziri 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 Let us bring the physical into the path of awareness and letting go. How is it that as we inhale our common bodies, our forms could feel quite sensual? Yet as we relax into our exhalation, they could feel as not graspable as a real or imagined octopoietum of light. Varara Guru Manmaziri 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 Let's bring the experience of the interpersonal into the path of awareness and letting go. How is it that as we inhale the interpersonal experience of common communication, our speech could be quite resounding? Yet as we relax into our exhalation, it could feel as not graspable as a real or imagined mantra of light. Om Varara Guru Manmaziri 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 And now let us bring our experience of the mental into the path of awareness and letting go. How is it that as we inhale, we could busy mind swamp common functions clearly? Yet as we relax into our exhalation, they could feel as not graspable as a real or imagined seasonable hum of light. Om Varara Guru Manmaziri 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 Om. Welcome to the remainder of this evening's live stream. The moment you have a specific question about Buddhist chanting, Buddhist meditation, Buddhist philosophy, or how to apply them, simply type your question in great detail in the chat window. May I receive all the blessings and empowerments of enlightened from speech and mind. Please place your puckered palms before your forehead. Benzo Guru Kaya Wakasi Tasiri Hun. Please place your right hand palm up in your lap and your left hand palm up on top of that. Benzo Guru Kaya Wakati Tasiri Hun. Please place your puckered palms before your throat. Benzo Guru Kaya Wakati Tasiri Hun. Please place the center of your left palm over your navel. Please place the center of your right palm over that. Benzo Guru Kaya Wakati Tasiri Hun. Please place your puckered palms before your sternum. Benzo Guru Kaya Wakati Tasiri Hun. The Lama dissolves into light and blends with me. The Lama dissolves into light and blends with me. The Lama dissolves into light and blends with me. In our heart's inseparability, I behold the true face of the ultimate Lama. In our heart's inseparability, I behold the true face of the ultimate Lama. In our heart's inseparability, I behold the true face of the ultimate Lama. The union of spontaneous awareness and emptiness. The union of spontaneous awareness and emptiness. The union of spontaneous awareness and emptiness. Welcome to the remainder of this evening's live stream. the moment you have a specific question about Buddhist chanting, Buddhist meditation, Buddhist philosophy, or how to apply them. Simply type your question in great detail in the chat window. We're now going to rehearse the transference of consciousness at the time of death, where our mind first coalesces at our heart, then shoots up our central channel, out our crown, and into the vast expanse, a delightful metaphor of letting go in the face of the inevitable. Please place your puckered palms overhead. I pray to thee, protector, O Amitabha, bless me that I may master the profound path of Pawape. I pray to the protector, O Amitabha, bless me that I may master the profound path of Pawape. I pray to thee, protector, O Amitabha, bless me that I may master the profound path of Pawape. Let's rest the mind. Please place your puckered palms before your sternum. Okay. Ooh, Pixel, that's an excellent question. Well done, you. So, here we go. Every time we inhale, whether we know it or not, we access the sympathetic nervous system ensconced within the thoracic region of our spinal cord. It is evolved not to support active concentration, but instead to support perception, which is vulnerable, passive, visceral, and even random. Therefore, one of the best ways for it to get out of our own way is to silently and mentally recite the demonstrative pronoun this during each inhalation. Now, this begs the question, what are we to do with all the stuff that we notice? All the sights, sounds, sensations, flavors, scents, and the like, all the emotions, intentions, thoughts, memories, and imaginings, what are we to do with these things? Every time we exhale, whether we know it or not, we access the parasympathetic nervous system, ensconced both within the lower lumbar of our spinal cord as well as the tippy top of the cervical region. It has evolved to help us both physically relax as well as mentally release. So all we need to do with a 3-pound supercomputer between our ears is align our intention with the inner workings of our autonomic nervous system. Therefore, one of the most efficient ways to help us get out of our own way is for us to, during each exhalation, silently and mentally recite the monosyllabic verb ease, which functions as a synonym for relax. For according to the founder of Dzogchen, the key to the path is simply to notice and release in harmony with our inhalation and our exhalation. And by doing that, at least 5 minutes per session, once every 12 hours or so, enlightenment could become an inevitability. Please place your puckered palms before your sternum. I now give my body wealth and virtuous qualities wholeheartedly to all beings as if they had each been my kind mothers. I now give my body wealth and virtuous qualities wholeheartedly to all beings as if they had each been my kind mothers. I now give my body wealth and virtuous qualities wholeheartedly to all beings as if they had each been my kind mothers. So now we come to this evening's final meditation, and a time for you, Pixel, or is it Pixie, to now play with this. So together as a team, let us meditate as transformatively as General Leia Organa upon Ajahn Kloss under the guidance of Luke Skywalker. Let us seal this evening's... Oh, you're utterly welcome, my friend. Let us seal this evening's practice with a bit of the old loving kindness. Without hindrance may I ensure enormous benefit for all beings. Without hindrance may I ensure enormous benefit for all beings. Without hindrance may I ensure enormous benefit for all beings. If you feel that I have earned it, you could give this live stream a thumbs up. You could even help support this channel. In approximately, whoops, forgot to set that timer. Let's do some quick math. In approximately 10.5 hours, I would very much like to return to lead tomorrow's early meditation class and group practice. And if you are as geeky as me, this is the way.